John and Sara Myers. We lived in a house in Independence, Missouri before, and now we live in Richland, Missouri. It all started when I was in Iraq in 2003. I went home for leave, and when I got back to Iraq, it was nighttime. Got off the plane and walked back to our living area, and I looked up at the sky because I had this strange feeling, kind of a spiritual feeling, and I had this feeling that when I looked up at the sky, there was this battle going on, a battle between good and evil, the spiritual forces of good and evil. And it seemed really important for some reason at the time. So I just kind of stayed there and kind of drank in that feeling for a while. And then, eventually had to move on, so I walked into our living area, and that ends that part of the story. So then I went home from Iraq when the tour was over, and that's when Sara started noticing things.
There were creeping of the stairs, the basement door would slam shut, and there were evenings where you could hear it walking down our hallway of our house and into my bedroom where me and my two children were, and you could feel it sit on the bed. And there were nights when I knew that I locked the door, and I got up the next morning and they were unlocked. And there was another evening when I did the same thing. I locked the door, and the next morning I woke up and it was unlocked and the door was open. And it was very scary. And then John came home.
It's easy to kind of blow things like that off and think, well, it's just coincidence, or no, you didn't really lock the door, or you accidentally left it ajar a little bit. No, I actually checked those doors, tried to turn the knob, pull on the door while I was doing that to verify it's latched and it's locked before going to bed. And I specifically remember doing that on those nights when the door would be found in the morning unlocked, or even unlocked and open.
And this isn't something that just happened once or twice. These events happened every day. And it was always something new every day. But the creeping of the stairs was a normal thing. And the walking in the hallway was a normal thing. And
talk about the time that it laid down on the bed. When I deployed for a second time to Iraq, and the activity continued while I was gone.
The evening that happened, it was I could hear it coming down the hallway. It was very slow, and I could feel the spirit coming, and I heard it come into my bedroom, and when it sat down on the bed, I could feel it. I could feel it there, and it touched me, and I didn't know what to do, and so it.
So tell them, did it feel like somebody was sitting on the bed, laid down next to you? Did you feel the presence, or did you feel it touch you, or what?
I could definitely feel the presence of the ghost, of the spirit, and it did touch me, and I could feel it laying there right beside me, and it would just automatically disappear. It wasn't something that you could feel it get back up and leave. It would just go away after a couple of seconds.
Okay, so I returned back from my second tour in Iraq, and all this activity that I had experienced before whenever I was home, and then that Sara was telling me about while I was overseas, I thought, well, there might be something to it, but I tried not to take it seriously, and I just thought, well, the house is creaking, it's coincidence or whatever. And then, but I remember specifically one time, Sarah and I went downstairs to the basement, and we were standing in the living room in the basement, and there was this crash, and the house shook.
And it was like a big bang of a box, like a big box fell on the floor.
It was like somebody dropped 150-pound weights on the floor, and how it makes the floor shake and vibrate, and the sound that it makes, that's what happened. So we went upstairs immediately. There's nothing there.
And we walked back. I told him that it would stay in my bedroom and it would be in my daughter's bedroom, which was next to ours. And I told him to go back there. And when you walked into this bedroom, it was a very cool, chill feeling.
Well, there's more to that before this, though. There were several times that it would be nighttime, and Sarah would say, "John, it's in the house," or "It's back there, it's in the bathroom," or something like that. She would just have this feeling. And so, being the man, I would get up and walk over there, not see anything or detect anything, and think, "Oh, it's just nothing. She just, whatever. She's just scared or whatever." And then we had this one time when we were in bed, and this noise, this sound, it was not a sound, it was this little lamb, the stuffed lamb that belonged to our daughter. It started saying, "Now I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I die before I wake," etc. And it sounded creepy for some reason.
It was very evil sounding.
So we heard it, and everybody was in bed, so there was no reason for it to go off as far as I could tell. So I went into our daughter's room looking for it, and I dug through the toy box eventually, and I found it's buried in the toy box, and there's no explanation why it would have sounded off. But it did. And then there was the night that Sarah started telling you about, or it was during the day, as I remember.
It was during the day. This was the final day that it was there. And
it was like a confrontation.
It was. John was outside, and I went and hollered for him and told him that he needed to come inside right now. And so we went back to my daughter's bedroom, and like I said before, as we walked in, it was a very chill feeling. It wasn't like a refrigerator or freezer cold feeling. It was a very eerie cold feeling, and so we walked in and we both felt it in there.
And it's not like cold like you just walked into a refrigerator or a freezer and feel the cold in the air. There is a cold force in the room, and you can just tell that it's there. You don't feel the feeling of cold. It's more like you can tell that there's this cold force there. So I could tell where it was in the room somehow. I can't explain how, but you just can tell. And it wasn't just a cold feeling. It was a feeling like.
It was a feeling of evil.
Yeah, it was a feeling of evil. It was like hatred, malevolence, combined. And if I knew what the evil felt like, it would be this. Or if I were to guess what evil felt like, it would be this. So this force, this spirit or whatever it was, started moving toward me, and and that's when I felt the feeling of cold. Not just knew that it was there or detected it, but I felt it. And it wasn't like on your skin as though the room is cold. It was, this thing is cold. And it moved into me. I felt it first at my feet, and then it just passed through me. And it wasn't like it was a humanoid form when it passed through. It was more like a flat plane, so to speak, and that flat plane passed through me. I felt it front to middle to back move through me.
And as it walked through him, it came up, and I could feel it touching my arms, just grasping onto my arms. And at that point, I
Well, you could tell that it was angry, that it's maybe not necessarily directed toward us in general, but a little bit directed toward us because we happened to be there while it was there. And it moved behind us into the closet, and I thought, okay, well, this is an evil spirit or force, and we need to do something about it because it's affecting our lives. And the only thing that I could think of at the time was we need to try to invoke the power of God or Jesus, basically the same thing. So I said something like,
you need to go to the light in the name of Jesus Christ.
right. I said that several times. I think I also said, why are you here? Or do you have any business here? Didn't seem to receive any response, so I said, well, if you don't have any business here, then you need to leave. And go to the light in the name of Jesus Christ. Leave in the name of Jesus Christ. And then, from my perception, it went away. And when it went away, it wasn't that it moved out of the house or away from us necessarily. It was as though it just kind of faded, like if smoke were to dissipate and you didn't really see that it was going anywhere, but it was less and less, not smaller, just less and less. And then it was gone. And as far as I could tell, after that happened, we didn't have any strange occurrences anymore. No spiritual feelings, no strange noises or anything like that.
And we moved a couple days after that. Because when we moved here.
No experiences here.
Yes.
Oh, yes. We have, but they've been of a different nature.
Since we've lived here, we have had the experience of a child. John, if you'd like.
Sure. What I saw was, I came home one day, and the arrangement of our house is you drive into a carport, and then you can see through the door, the walk-through door, onto a porch, and then you can see further into the house. And what I saw was, I was walking up to that door, I was in the carport, and I saw this boy, who's probably 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old, run from inside the house onto the porch and then over to a corner of the porch where I couldn't see him anymore. And it wasn't as though I saw a person necessarily, but I remember specifically the blonde hair and the height of it. And my impression was it's a boy. I thought, that's my son, and he's going to go over to he went over to the corner there, and he's going to jump out and try to scare me when I opened the door. So I opened the door real fast and looked, and there's nothing there.
And there was also another experience where we always leave our hallway light on, and John and I both were laying in bed saying, oh, we forgot to leave the light on. David will probably be coming down the hallway here shortly. Well, probably about 10 minutes later, we heard pitter-patter coming down the hallway. Well, we waited, and we waited, and there was nothing. And that was the last experience that we had here in this house.
So nothing nearly as profound as the previous house, but there has been some activity here.
And there was never there was never, in either case, there was never a white shadow. It was always more of a chill feeling, of a cold feeling, and noises.
You're talking about the other house?
At the other house.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And that was...
I think that's it.
I think that's it.